And good morning, everybody. Today is Monday, November 18, 2013. And this is Before the First Cup with Jules on UCY.TV. We are going to be doing an impromptu broadcast with Mr. Kevin Blanch with an update in regards to what is going on with the Paducah nuclear facility in Kentucky that apparently was hit by one of the tornadoes that came through there yesterday. Mr. Kevin Blanch, welcome.
Thanks. This is a big, gigantic developing story. Huge story. People need to be aware of this. This is the Moxie fuel giant evil plant from hell. This is it. This is the granddaddy of them all. The amount of fuel that is sitting in that thing. Now, they're going to come out and they're going to say, oh, it's in shutdown, it's been in shutdown. It's only been in 75% shutdown, and they lie. We know they're alive. I was just with Maureen Burke and Shane Russell just now getting the FOIA documents. I've been posting them all over my Facebook. They are not in total shutdown. And they're lying just like they told us number 6 had no fuel. There's all kinds of fuel, and it's the worst kind of fuel. Now, we know the number 4 building there was damaged. It was a direct hit. So my guess is its fuel's been dispersed. Now, even if it hasn't been dispersed, I mean, if their fingers are typing and their lips are moving, they're lying. That's all they know how to do. You know, by now, if people haven't, I mean, I don't know what's going to wake the sheeple up. There's 252 of these low-level, so-called, well, not a low-level, dump sites. There's 104 reactors that have 40 years of spent fuel. These things are the giantest terrorist threat. That's why Megan Rice went to prison in Tennessee. That's why she broke in to call attention to this thing, this one and the one in Tennessee. Even if it didn't disperse fuel, which my guess is it did, and even if it didn't, if this doesn't wake you, I mean, wow. I mean, these things are so vulnerable. The type of fuel that is, this is the plant in the United States, this is the most dirty, filthy, disgusting plant on the face of the earth. This makes 1,000 coal plants. This is 10,000 times any coal plants. This is where they take the waste from the nuclear reactor. They ship it across country every day, all day. They put it in there and they turn it to nuclear weapons, and it's a process they use to enrich uranium and Moxie the fuel that is of epic proportions. This fuel is so strong and so powerful, the amount of contamination that's released from this thing, it took a direct hit in the tornado. I mean, if this doesn't just scare the bejesus out of everybody in this country and make them wake up, and these propaganda whores that have been using print media coming out, I mean, this is a gigantic wake-up call to everybody in the eastern United States. Everybody. And the media's not going to report this, and, you know, I've said it over and over, we are the media now. It's important that we're the media now because we are the media now. I mean, we've taken the field. Their non-credibility on Fukushima has destroyed them. They're not media. And we are the media, so we have to develop the story in an intelligent way. Now, my little army, I put out a video this morning, and they're to work. I have an incredible investigative journalist army. And they're already getting the FOIA documents out to me, and the report that they were in total shutdown is a lie right from the FOIA documents. They're not in total shutdown. And we know they lie under the umbrella of the Patriot Act anyway. You can't believe one word that's coming out of there. So we got some people from Kentucky that are headed over right there, right now, with Geiger counters. And so, we'll be getting the information out quickly. But this is a major story, major developing story. And people need to be aware, and they need to start talking about it because the media's not going to report this. I mean, we know what they do.
Now, Kevin, this was the Paducah, what did they call it? It was some sort of gaseous uranium plant? I wasn't really sure. It's a uranium
plant. What they do at that uranium facility is that's where the uranium from the spent fuel, okay, the waste that comes out of nuclear reactors, they take that waste, and with uranium also, it's a Moxie process. They have to turn it into weapons grade. It is the depleted uranium factory. They make all this depleted uranium weapons there. That's where they do it. It's a Moxie process that goes through that makes the nuclear waste and the uranium millions of times stronger than it normally is, even as strong and as horrible it is. That's where they do it. This is the plant in the world. The United States' military facility. This is the baby. This is it. It's been identified for 30, 40 years as the most disgusting, filthiest, dirtiest hazard in the world. And it got hit by a tornado. I mean, it's about as dramatic as it can get. This is the thing. This is worse than any nuclear reactor being struck by a tornado, because the type of fuel that is there is so much stronger. Because it's moxied. It's where they make the depleted uranium for, to mass murder around the world. That's it. There's been a lot of pressure to shut it down, and supposedly it's been, in the process of, shutting down, and they moved a lot of the process, into their, American colonialism all over the world to other places. But they're still in operation over there, and we know that in order to get what they have there, it would take 100 years to even, try to move it. They've been burning it up just right up the road at the Oak Ridge facility in Tennessee. That's new too. People don't even get that in Tennessee, that at the Oak Ridge facility, they're burning waste for the first time in the history of the United States and dispersing it over everybody. And, what did we do? What did the Obama administration do? It's Fukushima. It's more than that. We raised the limits. We crashed RadNet. Gina McCarthy, head of RadNet, the radiation detecting network we have around the country to alert us to this, which we pay for as taxpayers. We paid billions for. Day 3 of Fukushima, they crashed. It's still not up. It's still not up. So we can't even get the readings that we've paid for freaking, all these years. That's what Megan Rice broke into Y-12, the nun, the 83-year-old nun who's getting sentenced to life in prison. She broke into to call attention to this very fact. And nobody's paying attention. I mean, this is an epic disaster. It's beyond a wake-up call. I mean, who knows what's going on there, but, we're working, trying to find out, because we have no credible media, we have no government that does anything for us. Here we pay all these taxes for them to protect us, and they attack us. It's beyond outrageous.
Now, is there a large residential population around the facility? Do you have any idea?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. But once it's dispersed into the atmosphere, does it really matter?
No, I mean, anybody that's downwind, it probably got picked up in the storm and went the direction of the storm.
Oh, yeah, and who knows how far that got. I mean, we're talking a tornado. Mm-hmm. So it disperses into the atmosphere.
And it was super windy. I mean, it came through here last night. It was really windy, and that front, when it came through, was quick, Yeah.
There's a lot of tornadoes of this thing, like I said, so it gets dispersed into the atmosphere. Now, who knows now what's going on. Now, that dispersed in the atmosphere, but, we'll find out. I can tell you right now, because post-Fukushima, what Fukushima has done, it's created a small army out there of awareness. It's ironic because me doing my videos, I did my video here just recently, and I said, I really have a gut feeling that we're about ready to get one here. I said that just, a week ago. Boom, here we go. So people can go in denial all they want on this, and we hear all this, Fukushima didn't kill anybody. The nuclear fallout is cancer. Fukushima's, my estimates, killing probably well over 1,000 people a day all over the world.
Yeah, it's plausible deniability.
Yeah, it's outrageous. And now, the guy who's running the show I've identified, and people need to be aware who this monster is. His name is John Holdren. In the situation when Fukushima happened, he was given the reins on this. He's from Berkeley, MIT, pro-nuclear guy. This is the same guy that made the bet in 1980 with the other physicists. He has written about depopulation. This is the guy, and they've come out and admitted right out of the Situation Room that a 32-team panel has run the show. He's the science and environment advisor to the Obama administration. He's had the reins on Fukushima the whole time. He's as evil as it gets, this creepy, evil bastard. He is the devil himself. And he's been running the show, and now they're admitting it for, almost 1,000 days. They've been running it in the Obama administration. I was standing right in front of the White House. You can watch the RT interview when I'm with Anonymous there, when TEPCO went into the White House. I'm standing right there, the irony of it. They called him, and so what's going on? And then we got the screenshot 3 days ago of the fighter jet flying low right over Fukushima. The Berkeley platform that this guy was running has failed. You know, we know that it's failed, and they're panicking, so they're trying to shift gears, and it's too late. It's too late. They don't know what to do over there because they let this monster in Berkeley have that at it, and they told them, oh, we have the nanotechnology, we have, you know, revivification, we have cold fusion, we have all this scientific from the Livermore lab at Berkeley. We can handle it. And this was their chance, so go for it. It failed. They're panicking over there right now.
The dude just stepped down, actually. I posted an article about that. Had no idea that there was a cold fusion experiment going on down at Livermore. But the guy who was in charge just stepped down, and they actually changed gears for the department even. They stopped doing research, or so they say. But I thought that was odd because I hadn't heard anything about that.
So that's what it's all. It's a giant fight going on, and you could see it in the Obama administration. Uncle Tom Obama, you know, I voted for him twice. What's the alternative?
I only fell for it once.
Well, yeah, but still, you know, Jill Stein. You know, I love everybody who says, oh, we're going to vote for Jill Stein. Green Party, really? She comes out day 900 of Fukushima. The only thing green about Jill Stein is her bank account. Same with Nader. You know, there's nothing green about these monsters. Sierra Club, all of them. They're phony, fake. Like I said, the only thing green about them is their bank accounts.
And the hairspray.
Yeah, that's it. The phony bastards. They're pieces of shit. You know, they're scum. You know, so the way I find a defense, that's why I finally turned to Anonymous. That's why I finally went to them and, you know, woke them up. I led that march in D.C. It was a big deal. I saw that.
I shared some of those pictures on UCY's Facebook page. It was awesome, Kevin.
Yeah. Well, we've got them a welcome. If you don't think that worked, you know, they had the mainstream media protests on Saturday. It's been reported in the Fresno papers. The anonymous kids went over there right to their stations, and they first question, why do you refuse to report Fukushima? Because the anonymous kids didn't even know about Fukushima. They know now because of me. And I've got them awakened. I tell everybody, I woke a sleeping giant with these guys. And, you know, this is the herd of elephants in the room. And now this happens there. I mean, if this doesn't wake all the morons up and the sheeple in the United States, you know, they might as well just go freaking dig a hole and dive in it and freaking, you know, go to their graves right now. Buprenorphine is cancer.
Well, did you see all the propaganda, Kevin? Did you see all the pro-nuke propaganda they've been pumping out of the machine again with,
well, you know why?
Why? You
know why that happened? Well, RT reported when I was in D.C., you know, on the 4th, they said that, and their zip code goes right in. They're retooling, and then so they had the all-day propaganda came on CNN. I mean, CNN plays a movie, the biggest flop since Rocky VII, you know, and so they play it, and so the propaganda. There's guys reporting. There's stuff in the media out there that's directly going at me because when I was in D.C., I got huge media attention. Huge. It maybe not so in the mainstream, but the underground media was all over me.
I shared pictures of that too. You were great. Didn't you stand outside of a coffee shop or a store with the big glass windows with your sign?
That's in Manhattan. That's in New York City.
That was in New York. Right. Oh, that was great.
That's at Times Square. That's at Times Square. Great. I got huge media attention there too. And so John Hurley himself, the National Press Club president, came over to our thing, and he had a long talk with me. So, you know, people don't think, but I've been getting huge attention on this, and so they're the counter machines going right at me. In fact, I was accused in one article, and they even called my name out, and they says, oh, the fearmonger Kevin Blanch is the reason that Japan has backed out of the 2050 greenhouse gases initiative, which is just total propaganda. It's a lie because this plant right here's carbon footprint. They just got hit by the tornado. Before the tornado is bigger than 10,000 coal plants for 1,000 years. It's carbon footprint. You know what they release into the atmosphere all day, every day, and after 30 years as they enrich? People don't get it. You have to enrich the uranium to make nuclear weapons, and it's a dirty, filthy process, and it goes right into the atmosphere. It is the greenhouse freaking effect. Nuclear is, you know, this whole thing that, oh, nuclear replacement for coal. Boy, have you been sold a bill of goods, and these morons buy it. Like I said, the only thing green about the Green Party is their bank account.
Now, have you been watching anything that's been going on with the supposed fuel removal?
Yeah, it's a scam.
Yeah, what is that? And then I see this story from Euronews saying they put it on hold because of the earthquake, and then I saw, no, it's not on hold, so what is going on?
here's the situation. We have it right from the FOIA documents, and I reported from freaking day one that the spent fuel pools in number 4, this is right coming from the NRC. We have the documents. They cracked on the earthquake impact, and a lot of them went dry. They tried to refuel them with water. So what this is just the shiny ball theory. They're trying to throw it out there. Oh, look, we're going to remove all these spent fuel pools and save the world. So they tried the propaganda machine. They went in, there was the 9th. And they went in there, and they come out and says, oh, we found 18 assemblies that had already been melded together. And, oh, they melded together pre-Fukushima, or pre-3/11/11.
Right, so I just saw that story. Yep.
Well, the fact is, whether it happened before or during the shake, it doesn't matter. They're still fused together. And it was released over we already got number 4 all over us. Number 4 is already all over us. So, okay, once they go dry, which they did, they could put water back over them. Doesn't mean shit. It doesn't do anything. Once they're fused together, it's China syndrome fission, and that's what's going on in number 4. And by the way, they told us number 6 had nothing in it. And number 6, they were unloading fuel in number 6 when the earthquake, the 7.3, happened on October 24th, and they had an accident in number 6. It's on fire now. Oh. And so the hits just keep on coming on this freaking mega disaster. Christina says it best.
I want to mention something. In the very beginning, when there were a few of us that saw the news and we still weren't educated completely on what we were reading, but we were all taking it in, remember, they had said that there was a fire too in 4, and it wasn't once, but it was like twice. Remember the big crack in the cask, and they were trying to weld it to stop the water from draining out, but they couldn't stop it. And we had even seen on the camera that there was some sort of reaction. Remember, there were big flashes of light going on over that spent fuel pool. So that happened already in 2011.
Yes, that's exactly right. So this is just the shiny bill. It's their propaganda machine. TEPCO is the Lee Harvey Oswald of this. He's TEPCO's a patsy. The treaties were signed after World War II. We are Japan. We are the United States. They're putting, it's coming out that they locked this guy up for 21 days. They're locking everybody up in Japan. They have been for freaking the whole time. Anybody who even speaks about it, that's us. Westinghouse, Toshiba bought Westinghouse. That's just it. And Westinghouse to run the show. It's a smoke screen over there. The whole gig has been run by the U.S. the whole time, and it was run by the Berkeley lab. Now, this report come out of Berkeley, the Livermore lab, that people are committing suicide inside there and their depression level. I'm like, yeah, I'd imagine. But they're not reporting anything out of there because they can't. They signed waivers that they go to jail if they do, right here in the United States.
What are they doing? What are they doing at Berkeley?
The Livermore lab at Berkeley is where the whole nuclear industry is run from. That's Oppenheimer. There was a report coming out a couple months ago that the depression level of the employees there is off the hook, and there's a lot of suicide going on there. And I'm like, yeah, I'd imagine, because, like I said, this guy stepping down, this monster who's been running the show, and it's been reported. The Washington Post finally come out and reported exactly what happened in the Situation Room in the early days. I mean, they reported in detail. The Joint Chief of Staffs are in there. Jerry Jacko's in there, and they developed the 32 team. They come out and said this guy from Berkeley is running it, and they took the reins and they developed a 32 team panel, and it was all ran out of Livermore Lab at Berkeley, and it was all due to their cold fusion, and now that's how they were going to handle Fukushima. They claimed they had the technology to clean it up without entombing it.
So this is huge when they just threw their hands up and said we're done. Because that was just a few weeks ago.
That's right. And the irony of it's right when we had our protest for the Million Masked Man March. Like I said, on the day before, RT comes over and interviews us. I'm standing right there in the interview behind John Fairhurst. And that's right when it was broke that the Obama administration says that they sent Ernest Monsi, head of the Department of Energy. By the way, I went over to the Department of Energy on the 4th. There's video of that, too. I went over there. It's 2 city blocks. It dwarfs anything. And it has a little teeny secret door to get into it. They call it the Department of Cancer. But so they announce that the U.S. is taking over the reins, which they've always had the reins, then it tells us they're pivoting. And Obama has called the Japanese executives that run the show to the White House. I'm standing right there. Kid says, look here comes the limos. And he went over there and he shot video. I said, the Japanese? He said, yeah. So I'm standing right there. So they're completely trying to respin this. They're taking a new thing. Livermore has thrown up their hands, and this monster, he let have the range for 1,000. I mean, the gambler, he made the bet in 1980 that commodity pricing would go up. Well, he just gambled with us, and they lost. So we got the screenshot of the fighter jet flying over the plant 3 days ago. Very low.
What do you think that
you know
was
what
about?
that is?
You don't think they're going to bomb it, do you?
No, they're gathering data. They're gathering the China syndrome data. Now, see, they get shots from, way up there, but they drop the plane down low so they could suck up and see how much plutonium, tritium, and everything, what the readings are.
That's true.
They don't want us seeing that, and somebody caught it. And so that's exactly what they're doing. We know the tritium level. We know the China syndrome was off the hook. That's what these spikes in the tritium wells over there are being reported over and over and over and over and over.
Well, don't you remember, though, they had come out with some really bright plan, and that was sarcasm, probably a year into it, about nuking the facility and stating that nuking it would burn it up quicker and at least to get it over with versus letting it percolate for millions of years.
Did you know that in Chernobyl, the United States, that's exactly what the U.S. was going to do, the UN, the IEA, the World Health, which are all the nuclear industry, that's what we were going to do. And Gorbachev says, no, you're not. We're entombing it. Gorbachev put a say, and Reagan agreed with Gorbachev. And his handlers flipped out. And so 580,000 men entombed it physically. They mined underneath it. That was the U.S. plan to bomb it. So the military, they wanted to go in and bomb it. I mean, the military wanted in. The USS, there were 8 ships sent in. Day one right at Okinawa, and including USS Reagan. They went in. And the Department of Energy overrun the Marines and the Navy. The Marines and the Navy wanted in. They wanted to do it. And the Department of Energy, it shows you who runs this country. The Department of Nuclearism.
Yeah.
They trumped the United States military. Now you see the whistleblower who came out on identifying us whacking all the Iran scientists, the whistleblower in the Obama administration holder comes out, we find out who this whistleblower is going to be punished to the letter of the law. Well, that comes out, it was the Marines Joint Chief of Staff. So there's a fight going on inside there, and so Holder comes out, there'll be no prosecution. And I'm like, pretty high up, you don't get higher. I'm like, yeah, I'd imagine there'll be no prosecution, I mean, I've headed the Atomic Veterans for years and years. My dad, the Marine from Pendleton, was nuked to death. That's what sent me on this path years ago. They've had a gutful, not to mention they used all the depleted uranium that was made right there in Kentucky. What they did to the Marines in Fallujah, their own Marines, they're already full of freaking cancer. The Marines know it. They're sick of it. The Navy's sick of it. The Navy personnel on those 8 ships are already getting leukemia. They're pissed off. But the Department of Energy has been trumping them. Well, so they're in full spin mode on a different angle. CNN, their propaganda whore. And I think it's funny. Did you see the CNN ratings from when they played Pandora's Promise and had all the pro-nukers on there all day on the 7th of November?
No, I wanted to watch it so bad too, but I just ran the promo the other morning and we were all going, bleh, bleh, How was it? What were the numbers? I hope they were really low.
They were plummeted. They were horrid. Harvey Wasserman did an article on it yesterday. Everybody, I'm like, because everybody was signing the petition, I'm like, don't let them do it. Let them do it. It'll just show to the world who they are. Mm-hmm. And people are onto them now. That's right. And so, people woke up and, people flipped on them. They're done. Nobody watches them anymore.
CNN, no, they're going to reality format too. I don't know if you saw that.
I did see that.
Robert Kennedy had come out in an interview right around the same time, just before that little documentary came out. And he had said, did I hear him say correctly that they are talking about building 200 new breeder reactors?
Yes, but, that was the plan before Fukushima happened. And it's not going to happen. Now, Robert Kennedy Jr. and I, who I know well, he and I had a feud going on for a long time when he was head of Richard, but I called him. I talked to his aide. When he did that interview with Pandora, he let him have it. And I says, God, I take back everything I said about you. I love you.
He did. He went after
them. He was so great in that interview. And so a lot of people don't know this because Westinghouse and General Electric, these nuclear whores, have been pushing so hard in China. I did an interview in China. It got translated by Mikado, my friend in Japan. And China's backing out hard right now on freaking nuclear. They don't want anything to do with it. They're pulling back.
Well, look at how polluted they are already, right? I mean, it's causing birth defects, and they have alerts.
We're more polluted than they are. We're more polluted than they are. People think that, oh yeah. For a fact, Utah had the highest. We passed China's numbers in Utah last winter, and the nuclear fallout from particulates. Yeah. So everybody says, oh, China's so polluted. Yeah. Well, it's American companies that are polluting in as far as the plants, but. See, the biggest solar movement in the world is happening in China. Canadian solar, I love how they call it Canadian, is Chinese. The biggest solar company in the world is run by the royal family in China. They're going all in nuclear. All in solar. They're kicking freaking Westinghouse out. Now, Hillary Clinton, get this. And a lot of people don't realize this, and it's all over. Type it in, Google it. Her last duty as Secretary of State, the very last thing she did, she went to Czechoslovakia because Czechoslovakia was getting ready to build a power plant, and they had awarded the contract to the French and the Russian company. Mm-hmm. And she went to him and she threatened in public the president of Czechoslovakia to break that contract and told him and give it to Westinghouse or else. So Czechoslovakia said, "Fine, fuck you, we ain't even going to build it." So that's who we are. The government is run 100%. I pledge allegiance to the United States of General Electric nuclearism, and that's a fact.
Yeah, that's true too. And then add to that they run half the media, and our job czar Jeffrey Amalt wasn't he the president of GE, and then he took all the jobs to China. Yay! Thank you.
So until people wake up, Ross Perot said, you're going to hear a big whoosh. Oh boy, was he right. Michael Moore's Roger and Me. Whoosh. Oh boy, was he right. And that was 20 years ago. And we just say, declining wages for 36 cents. Oh, you protectionists are hanging. People, American sheeple, that's what our movement, people need to understand our movement that we're retooling it, which the Post-Ignorance Project is November 29th and 30th. That's my baby. You can go to our Facebook site and our webpage. It's called the Post-Ignorance Project. What it is individuals can go to their local nuclear power plant and just with a sign and make a video. And so because people don't even know they're here in their backyards. And we're going to start posting all these signs from all over the world on all these nuclear facilities. And because, as I said at the, rally there, we're not about quantity, we're about quality. We're the media now because they refuse the media. So our elected officials don't want to be leaders. We're the new leaders now. We don't want the masses and we don't want the sheep. We want strong leaders with answers, and we have them. And we're going to take the field. That's exactly what we're going to do. And we have them. We have some strong people with freaking answers, and the sheeple have got to be led. The sheeple have been led off the cliff, and the sheeple like being led off the cliff, but they're leading us, the strong-minded who have answers, off the cliff. I love how they deflect, say, oh, go buy some guns, go to Alex Jones, who works for the CIA. Go buy guns, so they can sell you bullets. Oh, go buy organic food, which isn't really organic food. Every answer they have, and they throw at you, all these propaganda whores, costs you money. I mean, I tell you, what you can do with your AK-47? You shoot isotopes out of the air? And people, I got to protect my house. What, from your Walmart junk made in China? Nobody wants your shit. So America needs to wake up and pull their head out of their ass. There are answers. It's called usury laws. It's called anti-force and antitrust laws. It's called tariffs. It's called shut down these nuclear freaking monsters. We have to take them on, head on. And until people wake up, they're done.
Now, I wanted to get back for a second, if we can, to the Paducah plant. So you had said that there were FOIA documents, even though I had seen a few stories that said back in June of 2013 they had started shutting the facility down and everything. You said that there are FOIA documents that show that facility was never shut down? Or it's
75% shut down. It's 25. That's out of the FOIA documents under the mantra of the nuclear energy, but you have to realize that plant falls under the umbrella of the Patriot Act, just like Y-12 does in Tennessee. That's why so we have no clue what goes under there, under the mantra of national security. So nobody knows really what's going on over there because it's protected under the Patriot Act. Because it is a military facility.
That's what I was going to ask. Okay, because this is for making depleted uranium, used in weaponry, and then you said also Tennessee?
Well, Tennessee's Y-12, yes. That's where that's where Megan Rice broke into to call attention to and that's why she's been charged under the Patriot Act and given life in prison.
Right.
An 83-year-old son.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, and it gets hit by a tornado, and so we know even if you go off the FOIA documents, which this is under the Department of Energy FOIA documents, even then it says right then there's 75% shut down, and all the stored waste that has been put there is all still there. So even if you go there, so this idea that it's somehow shut down, it means nothing. It means nothing. The waste is in that facility.
I also saw in some of the stories that were there about the shutdown that they had said that, there was a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and there was some chemical contamination as well, and there was uranium contamination in some of the facilities. So did any of the building get wrecked? I was just curious as to... So there was building number 4 supposedly took a hit. Now that's, this is a developing story. Mm-hmm. I'm just freelancing off some people that are in Kentucky. By the way, there was a bunch of people from Kentucky who showed up to my rally at D.C., so they're right there with me. They're the ones that alerted me this morning. They're all over this, so I'm getting, fast developing stuff from them as it happens. Yeah. I was just reading in chat. I saw Drew was here. I wanted to find out too, in regards to emergency procedures. I mean, I know that nuclear power plants supposedly have this long list of emergency procedures, right?
Yes.
That they follow. So
right.
In the case of a tornado or getting hit with a tornado, what do they do typically? I mean, this was a refinement facility, so it wasn't like it was a nuclear reactor to shut down.
No, it's the same thing. It falls under the same thing as the NRC. The NRC has, but being it's a weapons factory, the NRC will be overruled by the United States military, by the Pentagon. Now, but the NRC themselves, even at that facility, what they do, and I'm sure they're having conversations right now. Now, we know they lie, but under the procedure, if there is fuel in there and it has been dispersed, it's a 70-mile evacuation immediately, and then go from there. But they're already saying, we know that that's impossible. We exposed that down at San Onofre. They had 1950. 15 million people to gather at the Los Angeles County Fairgrounds was still the work. None of this stuff's been updated in 30, 40 years. So it's really a joke. It is a joke. So the NRC, when they, by the way, a lot of people don't know this, the Nuclear Regulatory Committee, Gregory Jackal, who's out anti-nuclear now, who was in the Situation Room, they recommended the evacuation of Tokyo. That's a fact. I've listened to the freaking FOIA document. I've listened to their phone conversations, which is public domain. And so the normal procedure would be, but, even if we had a major meltdown, say Indian Point or say one of them in a major full meltdown, you can't rely on them old procedures because they're 40 years outdated. Right. And they know that people can't evacuate. Can you imagine trying to evacuate 70 million people?
Well, didn't
just like Tokyo, evacuate 40 million people. It's impossible.
I thought, too, with the BWR reactors, after Fukushima happened, we discovered that there were all kinds of that exact same model here in the United States that didn't necessarily have the safety fixes that had been recommended.
Us anti-nuclear has been harping on that for decades. In fact, Kevin Campbell on nuclear was over there 3 months before then. So they came out, lessons learned from Fukushima. Remember that dog and pony show?
Right.
That was the gig. So the NRC approved venting systems and all these. And I'm like, What the hell is a venting system? What does it matter? You have a freaking nuclear bad day, what? So you can vent it in the atmosphere instead of the lid blowing off the atmosphere? It doesn't matter. It's still in the atmosphere.
Well, if you remember, they had said that if they put the venting in, it would have prevented what happened in reactor number 1 with the hydrogen explosion. And then reactor number 3, we're not really sure what happened. That was much more than a hydrogen. Right. But I remember that was what they put the spin on it for. That's
right. And it's total lies. Once the earthquake happened, they can only handle about a 7.7. That's right from the NRC themselves. So when the quake happens, that core cracked. Everybody says, it was a tsunami. Oh, no. the core cracks. And once the core cracks, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Venting systems, hydrogen, whatever. The nuclear fission is on and it's released into the atmosphere, period. What people don't understand about a nuclear reactor, that core is insanity. It's nuclear fission going on inside that core. And as soon as that core is fractured, it's releasing that, and there's no turning it off. There's no answer to turn it off. And so that's what happened.
I vaguely remember there also being elevated readings that happened before the tsunami ever happened.
Yeah, we've had those all over the world, all over the United States, because, nobody was paying attention, but, people like me, as freaking, anti-nukers, hell, we'd report all kinds of freaking high readings, and it just fell on deaf ears. Everybody's like, what's a nuclear reactor? But nothing in comparison. What was released out of Fukushima over North America is every nuclear accident in the history of mankind, including Chernobyl, including the Nevada test site, multiple times. That plume that went over us was gigantic. Here I get freaking leukemia. I've grown off my whole life about, even before Fukushima. It's going to give people leukemia. It's going to give people, then I get leukemia. 2 years ago today, I was slipping in and out of a coma. And that's another people don't realize about the severity. By the time these morons get this disease, when you get attacked with AML, that's the byproduct of this, it attacks you so fast. I went from 170 to 130 in 3 weeks. So when people go into those hospitals, they don't realize by the time they start fighting, it's usually over. It kills people very, very quickly. Very quickly. Young people, all kinds of people. It kills you fast.
And there's always the plausible deniability. I mean, it could be anything that gave you that disease. You know what I mean? There's nothing that can directly connect a dot to some sort of fallout.
Well, here's the thing. I say it all the time in my classes when I used to teach. Chernobyl, the Nevada test site, Fukushima now, these smaller, they're not mutually exclusive. I'm a staff. They're not mutually exclusive. They're all the same. It's a cumulative. There are no low levels. They're not mutually exclusive. They are the same thing. So every time we have one, it just builds up. Now, Fukushima, we're all born with the Nevada test site in us, or we have it in us if we were born previous to it. And Chernobyl, we all have it in us. We all have every little thing. It's plutonium. That's not another thing that kills me. All everybody wants to talk about is cesium-134, 130 santrum, you have tritium, but God forbid you mention the elephant in the room, plutonium. You don't get one without the other. Plutonium kills you dead. It lays on your bone marrow, and it develops years later, and it's all cancers.
People keep telling me it's too heavy to travel, but if you take a look at some of the stats that they came out with when the meltdowns happened, it was over 3,000 degrees. I don't remember if it was centigrade or Fahrenheit, but it was damn hot. And they said that all the plutonium evaporated. So it turned into a gaseous state. So I don't think, that would travel very easily. Gas.
Plutonium exists in gas. They're full of shit. Anybody says that's dumber than dirt. Number one. And number two, they've been pushing in the Pacific after day 5 the entire fish swim. Hello.
Yeah,
fish
I know. Did you
swim.
see that Discovery Channel video? They're like, and everyone's saying that the tuna's contaminated. The tuna only around Japan. I'm like, yeah, tuna don't swim.
Well, here's the thing with tuna. People for years and years, they call it the silver streak. Do you know to this day, we still don't understand the migration of the tuna that are fast? They swim so fast. Mariners call it the silver streak. We don't even know. They're the fastest swimming creatures probably on Earth in these swarms. And they'll tell you today, they don't know. Now, not only that, think about this. They'll say, somehow people think the Pacific Ocean is a bathtub. Mm-hmm. The Japanese current, which runs into the California current, which goes up into the Gulf of Alaska and then splits down. The bridge that made it to Eugene, Oregon, I believe, made it in 6 days from Japan. So this idea, how's it got here? 6 days. These are some of the swiftest rivers in the world, the Japanese current and the California current. Somehow these idiots, and it kills me. I love the dolphins. I'm a marine biologist. I love them, man. Look at these pretty sea lions. I got a tattoo of one on my ass.
Sea lions with the tumors.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a question out of chat. Drew, one of our hosts and longtime fan out of Oregon, was asking about 5 and 6 at Fukushima.
Both on fire. They're both in meltdown right now. They were unloading 6 fuel, which supposedly there was none in it. Shiny ball theory again. Nobody's paying any attention to it. When the earthquake hit the 7.3, they had an accident over there. We've seen the plume spiking. We see the readings spiking all over posts there. They're both on fire, both of them. And those are new developing freaking. So we don't have 3 or 4 or 5. God only knows how many freaking full meltdowns we got over there. You know, they come out and report 18 fuel assemblies fused together in number 4. Well, each one of those fuel assemblies that fused together constitutes a meltdown. I mean, once they're fused together, it's on. It's on. That's nuclear fission, gamma rays from hell. And they've never been experienced in the history of mankind. So people are just, there's nothing we can do about it. Okay, go dig a hole and jump in it. You know, I had an asshole tell me the other day, well, maybe the world does need to be depopulated somehow. And I said, well, why don't you commit suicide right now then?
Whoops. Yeah.
Seriously,
I mean, this isn't a great way to...
The American populace is apathetic. Raise your voice, you lose the argument. Passive-aggressive, freaking ignorance. I mean, people say, oh, you know, the FEMA camp. I said, you're already in a FEMA camp. It's called your house. You get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, you know, 3 times what the styrofoam piece of shit is worth. Come home at 6 at night. 36 years of a row of declining nominal wages. You know.
And then the Trans-Pacific Partnership, Kevin. TPP
yeah,
is going to be the last nail.
Already is. I mean, it's over. And so, you know, you can't even have a conversation. So whose fault is it? Politics? I tell everybody, the so-called 1%, you know, John Boy, the Waltons, and you know, the Waltons are not John Boy. You know, I tell them, you know, why they do it? Because it's so easy to do it to you morons. You can't even have a conversation about usury laws. You can't even have a conversation about tariffs. You can't have a conversation about any of this. Because what they do, the American populace is so poorly educated and so ignorant because they're working too many hours. They're working 64. They ain't got time for anything. They're stressed out wet.
Right. Nobody pays attention.
They can't. And so it's like nuclear. I mean, I've been having conversations all the time. People think, I mean, Kat called out of the audience, what about aliens? They don't even understand that nuclear energy is used they don't even realize that nuclear energy is here. Chernobyl, the Nevada test. You know, you listen to John Kennedy's speech he gave to the nation. July 26, 1963. Probably the most powerful speech maybe he ever gave when he signed the Test Ban Treaty to the nation. At the end, he talks about leukemia. He talks about the open-air test in Nevada, killing the atomic Marines, giving them leukemia, giving everybody across the country leukemia. He talks about it. And he shut them down. He turned them off and shut it down. And since then, we have not one president with any backbone or spine. Every single president since him has bowed to the nuclear industry. Every single one of them. They're spineless punks. They're cowards. You know, I tell everybody, when you're flying to the United States from now on, they're going to put up great big signs. Welcome to the United States, home of the coward. People are cowards in this country.
It seems to me that, I mean, Japan was being led by them as well. You know,
absolutely, we are Japan.
Right. They told
them. People don't get it. People don't get it. After World War II, the treaties that were signed, are 1,000-year-old treaties that Japan's an American colony. Period. Let's think about the military bases in Okinawa. Do you know how many military personnel from the United States that sit on Okinawa? I mean, look it up. It'll blow your mind. Japan's nothing but a colony of the United States. That's all they are. So this high deal the TEPCOs. I mean, like I said, I call TEPCO the Lee Harvey Oswald. You know, they're a patsy. You know, so they're not running the show. We've always been running the show. And who are we? General Electric. Nuclearism. I mean, go to D.C. and go to the Department of Agriculture, go to the Department of Treasury, go to the Pentagon, walk. They're all within a couple blocks of each other. You know, go over to the Department of Energy. It's 10 times bigger than any of them. And you can't even find the front door. It's a little secret door.
Oh, no. I don't know why that started playing. We're not over yet. Oh, okay. It's over now.
Okay.
Sorry.
But that's the point. In America, until America wakes up, and they've been sold this bill, you know, global warming is very real. Now, is it caused by greenhouse gases? I'm sure it is, but think nuclear is what causes greenhouse gas. That's where we got fooled. Okay, the replacement for this dirty coal, which coal is hideous, and the reason we haven't gone all solar, think about why we haven't gone all solar. The technology's been available for years. Southern California's all solar down there. The reason we don't, think about it, if everything was solar. How can anybody make any money off that? There's no delivery. They can't extract freaking uranium from the earth. They can't extract, you know, coal from the earth. That's who runs this thing. So they're not about to let that happen, because that takes a delivery system away. And that's where wealth's gained. Wealth's gained by extracting natural resources from the earth. That's where the power wealth structure is. And that's why. And so this dirty, filthy coal and this, somehow nuclear's replacement to dirty coal, that's like comparing cyanide to arsenic.
I know. And they keep throwing that out there. Like, nuclear is so green.
Well, think about Al Gore. Think about Al Gore.
Warped planet. Do
you know Al Gore was charged with trying to rape a girl? You do know these stories, don't you?
No, I didn't know that one.
Okay, well, he's on the board of directors of Apple and Google. He's worth a gigantic sum. His house that he built down there in California sucks up $8,000 worth of energy a month. Well, anyway, some woman came forward in San Francisco, said why she was getting a massage. He grabbed her and tried to grope her and tried to rape her. It made big news. Kind of got swept under the rug. A couple months later, another one came forward. And Tipper divorced him. Long time freaking relationship. He's a fraud. He's a giant fraud. Well, they're all frauds. Every last one of these freaking monsters, they're all frauds. So everybody says, we need a new leader. We haven't had a leader since 1963. We don't have leaders. That's the problem. So I tell everybody, well, not only we're the meeting out, we have to be the leaders now, too. Because elected officials, because everybody, it's all about money. In Southern Cal, all I heard down there when I was down there, tourism economy, says you're willing to die to say you have some money, which you don't have any money. But people are willing to die. And people are so branded and bought into these idealistic ideologue. I tell everybody, when you die, your idealistic ideologue dug in free market fairy tales, whatever it be, your organic, your gun, whatever. Maybe they can read it on your at your eulogy when you're dying of cancer.
Now, here's something
I'm tired of the American populace. I really have had a gut full of them. Their ignorance.
Here's something that I'm very interested in. So you mentioned this earlier that Japan came out finally asking for help. 2.5 years, a little late.
Well, they've always been asking. They asked for help. The United States issued it. RT has a source inside D.C. RT reported. And RT reported Ernest Monsi, head of the Department of Energy, on, I believe it was November 1st, went over there. He was 3 days right at the facility. He came back. And he reported, he was called to the White House, RT reported it, and as soon as the next day, it was reported by RT that the United States is taking over the reins of Fukushima. They're taking over 100% reins, which they already had reins. What that says to me is it's not Berkeley anymore. They failed, and it'd probably be the military taking over. And then that night, RT reported that the next day, TEPCO would be meeting at the White House. The Japanese officials will be in D.C. So I went over there. I'm standing right there, and sure shit, they went in. So what's going on inside the White House Situation Room is they're shifting gears. That the 32 team out of Berkeley that was running this dog and pony show, they're getting kicked out, because they failed. But it's too late. I mean, they wait 1,000 days to switch gears. So my guess is the military, the Navy, and the Marines, their secret operations are taking over. And that's why the spent fuel pool dog and pony show has been reported by Euronews that it's not happening. I can guarantee you, in the situation right now, in the last 10 days, I will guarantee you this, that the number one subject sure ain't been the freaking Obamacare thing. The number one subject that's going on in there is Fukushima, and you can bet your ass. And we know from the FOIA documents, and we know from Gregory Jacko, there was a huge fight in the early days how they were going to handle this and how they were going to take control. We know that factually.
Yeah.
You listen to Gregory Jacko speak. Now,
yes,
he can't cross the line. Now, you listen to him. Remember, under the Patriot, he cannot cross the line. He was inside the situation. He cannot speak a word of that. He will go to Supermax. He gets right to the edge. He goes as far as he dares go. So watch his body language, watch him talk, he knows what went on in there. And he knows what's happened. He knows. And it's a catastrophe. And Radnet's still not up. I mean, how many billions of taxpayer dollars did they suck up for the Radnet? It exists. It exists, and we know that it exists. We know that it's working. Yet they've had it crash for, going on 1,000 days now.
So, they had TEPCO at the White House. You think this is a military operation now? You said that
I do. I do. I think it is. They've switched gears. It's obvious out of the reports that something dramatic, and then we get the screenshot of the military doing the low flyover. So I think there's a giant panic going on. And I know this from my work with the atomic veterans, and when I was in San Diego and speaking with different people from Navy personnel and Marine personnel. I spoke with a lot of them, and they refused to go on camera with me, and they know. I mean, the marine biologists know. They're just afraid to come forward. The people that live, that's why I'm going to Berkeley. I'm going down there the 29th. I'm going to cause some shit, although I'm going to get some interviews from people. I'm going to pin them down. Say, hey, come on.
Good.
Come on. When you think about this, Jules. You think about this. Everybody needs to think about this. The greatest ecological disaster, the mighty, incredible Pacific Ocean. The greatest opportunity for a research scientist to make his fame is this in the Pacific Ocean. 1,000 days, 300 marine biologist departments, and not one single marine biologist in the United States coming forward, which we know for a fact that they've been over there because University of Arizona released their data.
Right, that was the last time you were. That was the last time you were on. Yeah. There was some stuff going on.
We know they've been there. So what's the statistical probability of one of them coming forward and presenting their data? The statistical probability of that is zero. It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. Quadrillions. I say Google. But so we know they're being sequestered. We know they're told not to freaking report it, and they're not. And because the conversations are going like this. Yeah, you can report this and put fear, and what it's going to do is going to crush real estate value in California. And, and they're thinking, God, my whole wealth's tied up in my fake styrofoam piece of shit house, because to live in California over the last 30 years, you became a millionaire just by owning a home. You know what real estate values are there? Especially in the Bay Area.
Oh, crazy.
Shitty, cheap little homes. Well, there you go. So they're all millionaires down there in their house. And so they're not about to freaking rock that boat, because they know if real estate values fall, they're done. They're done. Their empire collapses. Every single last one of them. They get that. So they're willing to be, Uncle Tom Horse. I can't wait till these media whores and these marine biologist whores, when this is all spelled out and their grandkids come home and say, hey, Grandma, my science teacher in 4th grade said that the reason Fukushima killed so many people and it was covered up for, several years, and it was the marine biologist report that forgot to refuse to alert anybody. Weren't you a marine biologist? What are they going to say to their kids and their children? Oh, no, but, I've got some money in the bank account here. Can I write you a check?
Right.
I mean, so it's greed.
They're going to have to live with that, too.
Yeah, and they can, as far as I'm concerned, they're all going to rot in hell. I mean, that's the point. You know how many people I've watched die from this? I'm in that boneyard, Merrill. I'm head of our support group. I mean, I deal with this death by young people over and over and over and over. I watch it. Perfectly beautiful, healthy, right down to an 8-year-old. Little Molly died. We got, 8 to freaking 6. I've watched it so many times and incredible physically healthy people, incredible beautiful people. And, I watch them. This death by this it's evil, because your mind's still going. It takes a long time to die. It's a horrible, horrible. I almost went. I've been in it. I used to say I eat, sleep, drink it. I've been sleeping with it. And so people don't get it. And we know the cancer rates are spiking. Death via cancer is spiking all over North America.
Have any of the CDC reports come out since?
Well, the CDC is not going to report anything. You can forget anything.
Right. The mortality reports were out there right before Fukushima happened, and I think there may have been one more report after, but then nothing ever after that.
No, and you won't. It's taboo. Me and my doctor talk about this all the time. And, but there are reports trickling out that the mortality rates are increasing dramatically in the country. We rely on Janet Sherman's work and some of these people's work, but what we're starting to see, it's trickling in. And how about the CDC's report that came out here a while back? And this is the CDC themselves came out. The number one killer of children in the United States now is cancer. And that was the CDC that came out last month and said that. And, for years it was automobile accidents, and then it was gunshot wounds, but now it's cancer. And that was the CDC, so they did come out with that. So, and that was last month.
Surprising.
Yeah, so I think what's happening, I think in a lot of places, in a lot of circles, because, I'm under attack. You wouldn't believe. Here I've done all this for free, and you wouldn't believe the phone calls. I get good phone calls, and because I put my phone number out there, I'm not afraid of anybody. I tell them, you think I'm scared of you? I'm not afraid of any of you. And so you would not believe the attack I'm under right now, because people know that it's bleeding into popular culture, and they're looking underneath. There really is a boiling awareness of Fukushima.
I wanted to find out if you read that article from a few weeks ago with that, the yacht, the guy who took the yacht from Australia to Japan. Was that not the most horrifying thing you've ever read? He basically said the ocean is broken, and everywhere he looked, it was just devastation. And even the paint on his boat. Yeah. He's been doing it for years. It took the paint off his boat.
Yeah. And it's not just him. My network that's been built because I've been important is I have a lot of strong-minded people all over. I have a lot of people in Hawaii are telling me the same thing. The same thing that, these people, that's all they do is watch whales their whole life or watch dolphins, and they're coming corners. The only whale I've seen he said the only whale he's seen had a tumor on its head.
Oh.
Let's think about logic. Where's logic in this world? Okay, you've got 1,000 days, at least 3 full grown meltdowns. They're pouring water onto it, which I love how people somehow think they're catching the water and putting it into tanks. Come on, it's impossible. So it's been pouring, and Fukushima comes out themselves. TEPCO comes out in the hearings in 12/12/12, which I listen to, and they admit, we've been dumping plutonium since April 4, 2011, the entire time. We've been dumping it. They said the word plutonium. We've been dumping in the ocean the whole time. So it's been going in for almost 1,000 days, and you don't think there's going to be any effect? Really? Are we really that arrogant? There are no consequences. Does nobody have a brain? No logic?
I know. And more of this propaganda coming out of mainstream. That was the other thing that the guy was saying. He's like, it's got, he gave some number, trillions of cubic feet of water. And he's like, it just dilutes.
Yeah, it's not a bathtub. Yeah, and there might be a spot where you don't get any, but...
Right, but if it just forever continues to pour in there, at some point you are going to get to a concentration to where it's extremely poisonous.
Think about this. You're eating fish or whatever. So there's one huge pocket, whatever, because it's not a bathtub. And then you get one pocket. Right in the Geoscience 2011 study themselves, they took 3 studies and the background readings of the isotopes. One was 3 times. One was 100, 30 times. One was 3. One was 30, and one was 1,000. Well, that's the case. So you don't know which one you're getting when you're eating fish. You don't know, you might eat, fish every day for freaking 3 months and not get any. Then all of a sudden, one day you get one who swam right through it, who's got 100,000 times the freaking plutonium in his tissue, and you just ate it. Mm-hmm. That's the facts of the matter. This thing isn't some homogeneous, spread out thing. It's pocketed, and you don't know where the pockets are. You don't know where it rains. You don't know where freaking things. So these mainstream propaganda it's just pure ignorance, and of course most of them are paid, but they have a vested interest. But where's the logic in America? Well, it used to be to love the environment was a very in vogue thing. Now to kill the environment is a very in vogue thing. So really, whose fault is this? The American populace, you and I and a group, we told this story in exact detail.
Yeah.
People, they don't want the truth. People want to live in their, in their little cave, and and they accept cancer. Here in Utah, they just accept death by cancer. Oh, it's normal. Go ahead, die. Okay. It is normal if you're 85. Not when you're 8 or 15 or 23 or 35 or 52, but they're like, he's in a better place. Oh, really? How do you know they're in a fucking better place?
Well, Kevin,
arrogant pricks.
I hate to say this, but our hour is up. But listen, anytime you have an update, if you hear anything more on Paducah, let us know.
I will. This is a big deal today, a huge, huge story, and it needs to get out there.
Yeah, I will keep my eyes peeled, too. We have one of our hosts lives down in Kentucky, so he's going to put his ears to the ground, too, and see if he can find anything. So definitely drop me
the fact of the matter that it happened. We don't even need anything. We know that it happened. It got hit by a tornado, and there's 252 of them in the U.S.
Right.
So keep building more.
Right. All right, Kevin, you take care. I will talk to you soon.
Thanks, Joel.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. We'd love to have you on.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.
So with that, I bid you adieu. Everybody have a good day. I will see you in chat on the other side. Thanks for listening. Take care.